Hello students, welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to take the chapter 5 of this history. Especially we will be talking about the chapter called medieval architecture, and in this medieval architecture we will be talking about the features of medieval architectures, then architecture during the Delhi Sultanate, and architecture during the Mughal period, and how these resources were actually used in different places, and then also we will talk about the reconstruct of the history. So by the way, we have seen that different structures in this country, especially India. We have found the different features that was actually indicating about the arrival of the different people in India, and also the those things or the history or the sources that we are today able to read are actually part and parcel of the significance. The establishment was done by those people of that time. So today, since we are talking about the features of the architecture, so here we will be basically talking about the structures, the forts, then temples, towers, and also we will be talking about the havelis, and also baulis, and many other magnificent structures that is actually part and parcel of that time. Okay, now the temples during this period were actually constructed in a three primary way. So that is primary styles of architecture we can see. So namely we have got that Nagara style. Second is we have got like a Dravida style, and then a third one is a Visara style. So these three styles, the structures were actually found in the India, especially at that time. So let us see the Nagara style of the architecture. Now, which are the architecture in fact helping to know more about this period. Now see the Nagara style of architecture. When we talk about, then it has got its original structures, temple, and built during the Gupta period. So basically when we talk about Nagara style, it's started from the Gupta period onwards, and here it was very popular form of architecture in North India in fact. Okay, so when we talk about the North India, so this is a very common the style of this Nagara style, and here the main shrine which is actually taller and adjoining shorter one, or the like a mandapa, we can call it mandapa. Now the shape of the shikhara, that is the top part of this temple, you see there is the main, okay, the main difference between the two building structures. Now see some of the temples of like a Khajuraho, such as the like a Parshavanatha temple, the Viswanath temple, and again you can find some other temples like a Kandaria Madhavdev temple. Then these are the temples were actually built in this style of architecture. So other examples include Lingaraja and Mukteshwara temples in Bhubaneswar, the Sun temple in Karnataka, and Jagannath temple in Puri. So these are the few styles that we can see. It means the where the main deity or anything is kept, that particular shape is a little taller, and then the shorter one is maybe the devotees are where they are sitting and then doing their puja and all the rituals. So that area is a little shorter. It means the main part of the temple or the statue is a taller structures. Okay, so this is a Nagara style of the architecture. In fact, we can extract from the Gupta period time onwards. Okay, next we have got Dravida style. Now what this style of this we can find. Now the Dravida style of temple architecture actually developed in the 7th century. So about this Dravida style is the 7th century. It's quite old, and okay, very old one. And this in this 7th century, mainly we find this style is in the southern India. It means in South India we can find these are the structures are actually available. Okay, now we have got the most common characteristics of this style is the pyramidal elevation. of the tower. You have to see that in South India, most of the temples are actually like a elevator system. It means a step by step it is going upward, very up. Okay, and here the temples of Dravidian architecture actually consisted of four main parts. Which are the main parts? One is a gopurams, that is a gateways. Gopuram means the gateways. Then a second one is a mandapa, that is a pillared prayer hall, and then a garbhagriha, a square chamber where the image of the deity was kept, and then a the pradakshina path, that is the circumambulatory passage. So these temples also featured multi-storied pyramid shaped towers called vimanas. So in South India, most of the temples, if you visit, you will find that these are actually the pyramidal format, and then it is multi-stories, of course, and we can find that these are the temples. In fact, I have the this four different this architecture was actually combined, and then you can find that these temples were also featured multi-storied pyramid-shaped towers called vimanas, as we have already mentioned. So the Dravidian style of temple became prominent during the reign of this Chola and Pallava dynasty. Okay, so you must remember Chola and Pallava dynasty. During this period, these are the style was actually utilized and then made temples. And then some of the examples of Dravidian. Okay, there are some of the like examples we can find. That is say about the Dravidian architecture. Here, especially it includes Shore Temple. There is a Kailashnathan Temple, then Meenakshi Temple, and also the Ratha Temple. So these are the few famous temples of South India, are very much indicating about the Dravida style. Okay, so this is about that. Then again we have the Visara style of architecture. Now see what this is Visara style. Now the Visara style of architecture developed in the Deccan area, and it was a hybrid style which actually combined the features of both the Nagara and the Dravida styles of temple architecture. Now you must remember, this is the actually hybrid style, we can call it. Hybrid means like you see the from somewhere it is picked up. It means when we talk about the Nagara and the Dravida, from these two structures the things were actually brought the like that shape, and then started constructing. So here the Dravida style of architecture and Nagara style of architecture, this combination of, so that is here we can find. So the examples of this Visara style of the architecture is the Chalukyas, Hoysalas, then Rashtrakutas constructed temples in this style of architecture. So okay, this is about the Visara style of architecture. Next we have the of course this Indo-Islamic architecture. That is the we are starting about the like Sultanate period, you know. Now see the advent of the Turks of 13th century, in fact, so the beginning of the Indo-Islamic architecture in India, and this style of this architecture actually borrowed certain elements of the Indian architecture, such as like courtyards surrounded by like colonnades and balconies with ornate brackets. Then architectural style brought by the Turkish rulers include like domes, then arches, then motifs, mosaics, and mihrabs, then minarets. These are the actually the from the their own country they have brought, and then some of the style they have actually borrowed from our India, and then they constructed some of the buildings. Okay, so let us see what is actually important here. We have to understand that most of the like the architecture when they are constructing, especially when Islamic way of constructing the things and all, you know, they are very much actually fond of the garden. It means any of the structures, either dome or anything that we find. Now see a dome, when we talk about the dome, it means Taj Mahal. We have got there what called Shah Jahan and Mumtaz Mahal's what called like a cemetery is found there. So these are the things are actually kind of like a dome. It means Taj Mahal is kind of like a dome, but the way they have beautified the things are actually appreciable. because the temple or the dome that they are making, around it they are making the garden, and at the same time you can see the flow of water, which means flowing water will be there. So here, many of the foreign invaders originated from the Central Asia, and their influences were also reflected in this new form of architecture. Now see Persian. So Persian influences can be seen in the tomb architecture of the medieval period, and the Mughals introduced gardens around the tombs, and this was actually based on a Persian design where the garden was actually divided into four parts of to help of the walkways or flowing water. Now you must remember, in a Arab country or any of the like a Middle East country, there is a very much like a lack of water, and so whenever they are making the structures and all, they won't find such a facility. But once this sultans and also the Mughals, when they came in India, they found that here the water is very much available, and then you can see that the garden and ponds, which is actually constructed because they see that these are actually the things which can make them easier their life to go on. So because they were always lacking the water in their own country and all. So here, whatever the dome, whatever the temple, whatever the structure they have constructed, but they never forget to make the pond, and also they have never forgotten to make the garden. So you can see that. So today, suppose you visit to Red Fort, or maybe you visit to Agra Killa or Taj Mahal, you will see that there are gardens and water flowing over around this area. Okay. So that is about the Persian influence also, you can see. And then this was actually based on a actually Persian design where the garden was actually divided into four parts with the help of the walkways, and also the flowing water we can see. So forts were actually another key features. Okay, forts were another key features of Mughal architecture. And then you can see that this actually period actually witness of construction of a walled forts to safeguard against enemy attacks. And also Indian influences can be seen in the construction of forts. For example, Akbar's fort at Agra shows traces of Indian influence from the Gujarat and Bengal regions. Then again, okay, so Bengal regions are nullified. Besides, you can see that wall structured magnificent forts with ornate designs were built, such as the Lahore fort that actually include the Shesh Mahal and Shish Mahal we can call it, and then a Nalukha pavilion. So these are the actually part and parcel of our this Persian and the Mughal architecture. All right. Now let us talk about the features of medieval architecture. Which are the features we can see very distinctively here? Okay. So let us know first of all the number one. Number 1 point, what is speaking that extensive use of arches and then domes, beams and balconies you can see. It means extensive use of arches. Most of the like architecture of this Persian and Mughals, you can see that there are these domes, arches and beams are actually, and balconies are always there. I don't know, that is how they have brought from their country. And then a use of red sandstone. Most of the structures are actually use the red sandstone, then bricks you can find, or stone covered with a plaster as building materials. So what are the structures actually they made, and which are the like a material? For example, we are using the cement for making the things harder to get stuck and to not to break easily. So here they are using the other material, and then they are using like a decorative carvings, then a floral and a geometric patterns, and a use of like a calligraphy. Calligraphy means the art of producing decorative handwriting and all. So here those are the things they are bringing, and then indicating about their skillful architecture. Okay, and then we can find it engravings of Quranic verses on the walls even. So today, suppose you visit to the most of the like mahals, you can see that there are written some very good statement from the Quran, and then indicating about their religious statement and the norms and all. Okay, so that is about the features of medieval architectures. Next we have got the architecture in the Delhi Sultanate. Now in the during the Delhi Sultanate, which are the things are we can find and they can help you to understand better. Now see, the Turks brought actually with them a new style and the techniques in architecture. So this merged actually with the traditional architectural style of the Indian subcontinent, giving birth to the unique Indo-Islamic style. And then numerous monuments were actually built following this style. Okay, following this style. Not only in Delhi but also in the regional kingdoms. Some of the important monuments built during the Sultanate era include the Qutub Minar. So today we are witnessing, whenever we go to Delhi and all, we see that there is a Qutub Minar, and this Qutub Minar started Qutubuddin Aibak, then Adhai Din Ka Chopra, there is a Qutubuddin Aibak, then Alai Darwaja, Alauddin Khilji, then Tughlaqabad Fort, that is Ghiyasuddin Tughlaq, then Firoz Shah Kotla, Firoz Shah Tughlaq, Bara Gumbad, that is Sikandar Lodhi, and a tomb of Sikandar Lodhi, that is Ibrahim Lodhi in fact. So these are the few things that is found in India, especially in Delhi and all. So Mamluks or slave dynasty, which are the things are actually introduced for us to know about the architectures. Okay, so this is we are talking about the Sultanate period. Now in the Sultanate period, you know, the Qutubuddin, the first person called Qutubuddin Aibak, he was the slave dynasty, we say from the slave dynasty, and when he took the title, then he became the first actually the ruler for the first time in the history that a slave is becoming the ruler in India. So here Qutubuddin Aibak built two mosques, that is the Quwat al-Islam Mosque in Delhi and the Adhai Din Ka Chopra in Ajmer. So these two mosques were built, and then he also commissioned the construction of a tower dedicated to the famous Sufi saint, that is Qutubuddin Bakhtiar Khaki. And then the tower, which is actually known as the Qutub Minar, was completed during the reign of Iltutmish, Aibak's successor. So you must remember who started, but then someone others actually concluded. So this is about the Mamluk. During the Mamluk dynasty, these are things actually find. During the Khilji dynasty, which are the things that we find. So Alauddin Khilji built a number of monuments during his reign, and the most famous among them is the Alai Darwaja. So this Alai Darwaja is a kind of a huge very significant things, or the place where this Alauddin Khilji actually made. And then Alai Darwaja actually a gateway to the like a Qutub complex. So from there you can see that. And then he also built a madrasa and an unfinished tower. He has made one unfinished tower, and then a Alai Minar in that complex, the Siri Fort, the Hoj-e-Alai, a large tank built for the residents of Siri, and then Hazar Situr, palace of 1,000 pillars, and then some are examples of the Khilji architectures. Okay, so during the Khilji time, these are the few structures that is you can find. Okay, so then we will be talking about in a later period about the Akbar's houses. So let us know about the Tughlaq's one. Now the Tughlaqabad fort was actually constructed during the Tughlaqs, and Firoz Shah Tughlaq was also a great patron of architecture and learning. Now you can see that Firoz Shah Tughlaq was a great patron of architecture and learning, you must remember. So he prepared the Qutub Minar and added the topmost story to it. Okay, Qutub Minar he added here, Tughlaqs, and then many mosques and museums were built or repaired under his supervision. So he took care of that. And Firoz Shah also built a number of new towns, including Jaunpur, Firozpur, Firozabad, and Hisor-e-Firoza. And he built a fort in Delhi named Firoz Shah Kotla. And he brought two Ashokan pillars from Meerut and Tapara, wrapped in silk cloth, to Delhi. One of these pillars was re-erected at a Firoz Shah Kotla, where it can be seen even today. So it's available there. Okay. So the sultans of this first two dynasties, the Mamluks and the Khiljis, were actually wealthier than the later sultans. So this difference was actually reflected in the monuments built during the respective periods. Now the monuments built by the Mamluk or the Khilji sultans were more ornate and beautiful than the ones built during the reign of the Tughlaqs, Sayids and the Lodhis. So however, the Sayyid and Lodhi architectural style features the unique concept of double domes. Okay, so these are the few things. So in the next class we will talk about the architecture in the Mughal period. So this is about the Sultanate period. Okay, so see you. Thank you.